Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome.
Hey,
Hello,
Kim.
Kelsey.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Oh my God, so many names. My
Oh,
computer
this is
only
great.
takes 1, 2, 3. What is it? 3 times. I only have 12 on my screen. So
We
someone
have,
tell me how many are.
there's at least 30, 35 about coming
Wow.
in the first 60 seconds. So not too shabby. Welcome, everyone.
I still see people coming in. Let's give it one more minute.
It's nice to see so many people on camera too. It's nice to see your faces. Katie Dunn, hi.
Is Katie in from New York? Or are you in Chicago?
I'm in New York, Goldie.
How many
Same
years
here.
ago were you a scholar? 100, right?
100, yes. I graduated in 2010.
Wow.
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 Yep, it's great. It's so amazing to see how much it's grown, though, Goldie. You've done it. You've really done it. So happy to be still a part of it.
I don't think I've done it. I think the team that's been in place for all these years supporting it, you know, you were right there with from the beginning. So thank you for being who you are and being successful. That's always a good sign.
It's been fun.
You're a prime example of why I love virtual stuff sometimes, is that we can get our New Yorkers and out-of-staters to join the fun events like this.
I totally agree. It's been awesome to be able to do all this stuff during this time, and
Mhm.
hopefully we can be. I still want to come to the gala. Don't get me wrong. I want to be there in person, but it's nice to be able to do a couple of things virtually to get everybody together.
Okay, why don't we get started? There will probably still be a few that come in, but I want to be mindful of everyone's time. Welcome. Congratulations to the graduating scholars and to all of us. We have obviously the scholars on the call. We have mentors, we have board members, we have gala vice chairs, we have scholars that will be continuing with us for another year. And I do just want to acknowledge the year. It has been more than a challenge. Some of us have experienced personal loss. We have all experienced some loss of freedom for sure. But here we are. And for the scholars that are graduating a year ago, June, this must have seemed like a far, far distant goal. So our schedule today is a celebration. Goldie will welcome and honor each scholar individually. Then Kim Adams, who is our honored guest from JP Morgan Chase, who runs the $40 billion global core fund for them, has graciously agreed to talk about her personal life, her professional life, how those two lives combine. And she will give words of wisdom, you know, what I wish I knew then. And we definitely have left time for question and answer. And as you will see, Kim is very approachable, very down to earth. So please ask any question that comes to mind. Then Kelsey will congratulate everyone. Goldie will give closing remarks. And for anyone that wants to stay online, please do. You know, we will stay online for as long as people want to talk and share. So Goldie, what are your thoughts today?
My thoughts. I have so many, but I've only been given a couple minutes. So for those who know me, I can talk for hours and days and months and years. So I'm going to try and keep it a couple minutes. First of all, I've got to give you all a virtual hug. Can we give virtual hugs to everybody? Virtual, because obviously we're not in person. And this is such a celebration. And, you know, past graduations have been in person. And last year when we had our first virtual, I was really disappointed. And I said, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be able to hug them and congratulate them. But it was terrific because we had over 50 people through our virtual graduation. And even I got a note from one mother who said, thank you for making this virtual because I got to see my daughter graduate. So You're going to hear the same word over and over and over again. It's called congratulations. This is great. This is a celebration. But I have to paraphrase something that Penny Pritzker said to all of you, or those who were at the Penny Pritzker event, the 2-minute elevator speech. She said, you know what? We have survived. And I keep saying that because she was talking to the graduates, but I'm going to say it to myself. We've survived. Not only survived though, but I think we've done more than survive, because we've done not only persevered, we've gone through hard work. And that's obviously been my personal mantra for all my whole life. So through the Wednesdays with Goldie, I've heard about your accomplishments. I've heard about how you've handled school, jobs, family, interviews, COVID. And I have to tell you that each time I get on the phone call with you all, it's been just a wonderful experience. And I want to thank you, because you have made me so proud of all the work that this whole team has done. And I send the interview comments to Martha Sutton, and I thank you her, and I send them to Kelsey, who you always rave about, and certainly to Karen, who is our new illustrious leader. So you all really more than survived. You have just been terrific. You've talked about your mentors. And so the mentors on the audience, thank you. You've talked about the Mentorship Rocket Program. You've talked about the Penny Pritzker Leadership Program. And again, I thank the team that really done all the work. But on this phone call that we're doing, or Zoom, I can't even call it right, it's a Zoom. We have board members, which is really critical. We have board members, we have gala committees, and I want the scholars to recognize that these people on this call, we've got our illustrious president, Laura's on this call, all the other board members, they have worked so hard this last year and so hard to be supportive of you, not only in their trying to raise money so that you can get your scholarships, but more than anything, support you in your endeavors and what you're trying to achieve. And I have to tell you, this is something we've been doing for 15 years. You know, now it's popular to support women in real estate, right? Well, we've started 15 years ago. So they're following us, we're not following them. And so this is not a culmination. I think this is really a very, very bright beginning. This is the largest number of scholars we have had in the history of our initiative. And this last year, we were all lucky for those who don't know, and I'm sure you all know, we won the Innovator Award from the University of Wisconsin, which is a really big deal in terms of for the graduate school, in terms of what we've done, how we've done it, and everyone on this call has made a difference. So I think this is more than just a celebration. It's a level of appreciation and just being proud of what we've done and what we've accomplished this last year. So it's more than Penny said, survive. We have just flourished. And I'm going to mention all these names. Now, here's how creative we're going to try and be. In the normal situation, you would all come up individually with scholars and get a plaque. But we sent the plaques with a gift ahead of time. So I'm going to mention the name. And when I mention your name in your school, just wave. So I don't know how we all see this, but we're going to try and see it so that you are recognized. And as I'm going to say 20 times today, next year we're going to do this in person. I promise. Okay. All right. So let's say first, Jenny Berman from DePaul University, Kelsey Berry from DePaul University, Meredith Bledsoe from Northwestern University, Hannah Brostoff from University of Illinois at Urbana, Jessie Chen, University of Chicago, Christina Flathers, University of Chicago. By the way, if you have your special plaque, would you raise it up so people can see what it looks like? I'm dying to see what it says. Now, Suman Gidwani from University of Michigan, Natasha Gudnosayaka. No, wait a minute. I've been practicing this for a week, so let me say it right. Gunasekura. Jesse Hahn from University of Illinois, Sandra Kafka, Northwestern, Carolyn Kane of University of Wisconsin, Liz Kurgis at University of Illinois, Chicago, Christina McInerney at Northeastern. Now here this is easy because I've been saying it wrong for a year. It's Kristen Mixon, not Nixon, of University of Michigan. Emily Moore, Northwestern. Adriana Morawski in terms of Georgetown, and Allison Rabin of Northwestern. Everybody gets a round of applause. If you have your certificate, will you raise it so we can all see it if I can? Oh, there it is. Adrian's got it up. That's great. All right, anybody else have it up? Okay. All right, great. On to the next part of the program. Great job, you all. This is terrific. All right, who's next?
So I'm next. I would just add that I believe we're all more flexible now. And I believe that by being more flexible and being more open-minded, because we've had to be, that we can be more creative. And if we're more creative, that's good for us and it's good for the companies that we work for and with. So let's not lose that. And Kim is going to talk about her creativity in this past year with her global responsibilities. So Kim is a managing director at JP Morgan Chase.
Wait. Don't we do the video?
Oh, yes. I am out of order.
Okay, which your enthusiasm with Kim is so overwhelming.
I know. I just can't wait to start talking to Kim.
I know. There's nowhere to go but downhill after you typed it like that.
Okay, but this video is really very special. This video is, from what I gather, Kelsey and her team put together, and you're going to actually see the scholars, right? Okay, on with the show. I don't have it.
You'll see.
I don't have it.
Kels, it's your
Kelsey,
calendar.
It's my
calendar,
calendar.
Kels. Yeah.
Because,
Okay.
you know, how many times do I have to practice it before I do it right? Okay.
We've all been there. See, everyone smiling. It doesn't matter anymore.
Oh boy. Okay. One more time.
Pinch for a bigger view. Okay.
Tell me if you have sound as well.
I'm Adrienne Morawski. I just completed my master's degree in real estate from Georgetown University. I was in the program for a while, so I couldn't be more excited to be done, but also incredibly grateful for the opportunity to learn and grow in real estate. I've been in public policy in commercial real estate for many years, and this degree will enhance my ability whenever I talk with policymakers and elected officials about various issues. The Goldie initiative was incredibly helpful for me as I completed this degree. As my mentor, Jean Peck, she definitely coached me in pro formas. Now, I don't work in pro formas every day, so it was a challenge for me, but my mentor was there and she coached me all the way through. So thank you to the Goldie Initiative. I am so grateful for everything that you do to support scholars. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The best part of the Goldie Initiative has been the mentoring opportunities, as well as the more informal events where I've had a chance to connect with members of my cohort. These fellow scholars are truly amazing and impressive leaders, and I'm so excited to be able to check in 5 years and see what everyone has accomplished. I mentioned this in my pitch to Penny Pritzker, but I plan to practice law at the firm level for a few years, and my dream job is one in the C-suite. Whether that be as a chief legal officer or some other role, I know everyone at the Goldie Initiative will be there to help me meet this goal.
Hi, my name is Kristen Mixon, and I just graduated with my MBA and Real Estate Development Certificate from the Stephen M. Ross School of Business at the University of Michigan. I'll be starting a new job as a senior consultant at Plant Maria in a few weeks. And if I were to give a piece of advice to any young women thinking about starting a career in commercial real estate, it would be that when you look around the room, you might not see anybody that looks like you, not yet. But we're out here, we're doing it. And if we can do it, you can too.
Wow.
Hey everybody, it's Christina Flathers. I can't believe it's already been 2 years since I started my grad school journey, and the Goldie Initiative has been a tremendous integral part of every step of that process. I have nothing but thanks for Goldie and for everybody at the Goldie Initiative. Kelsey, you're such a rock star. And then of course for all the ladies who are my fellow scholars, you guys are awesome. I'm excited to keep in touch with you and see where you guys all go and what you do with your careers and with your lives. If you're all ever in South Bend, Indiana, please let me know. I'm here ready to host you guys, whether for a Notre Dame game or something else. And please let me know what's going on in your industries, because I'm helping cover real estate for the Notre Dame Endowment, and I could definitely use some help from the brightest women that I know. Peace.
Hello, this is Kelsey Berry. I am a recent graduate from DePaul University with my Master's of Science in Real Estate, and I currently work at Cushman & Wakefield in the Office Capital Markets Group as a senior marketing specialist. I also have a background in city and regional planning, where I worked in that industry for about 8 years down in Dallas, Texas, having moved to Chicago just about 3 years ago. And there are a lot of things that I would like to say just as we wrap up this year with the Goldie Initiative. I can't speak highly enough of the program and the staff at Goldie and Goldie herself, even though 2020 coming into 2021 has been a year unlike any other. The support and the system and the connections that I've been able to make through this initiative have been just absolutely incredible, and I know and I hope that I am able to maintain these going on into my future career, just because it's been such a quality program and amazing experience that I would love to encourage other women in this industry to take advantage of. And that sort of segues into the next point of if there is any advice that I can give to young women entering this industry of commercial real estate. I would just say, in addition to finding those networking opportunities, really put yourself out there and don't be afraid to take a risk and make the introduction, or reach out to someone who you think might be interesting to talk to or have a unique experience that you can learn from. It's something I continue to work on myself, and it's really, in the past, it's paid off for me as well. And I would just encourage you to, make yourself a little uncomfortable and step outside the box, but it really does pay off. And the Goldie Initiative has been a fantastic way to help experience that and sort of nudge us even further out of our comfort zone. So cannot recommend it enough, and I'm excited to see what the future brings. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Jessie Hahn, and I recently graduated from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign with a Master of Architecture and a Master of Business Administration. I'm moving to Germany on June 15th to join my fiance in Berlin. So it's a little intimidating to move to a new country, but that's what I'm looking forward to most in the near future. I can't wait to improve my German, to gain experience in a different geographic region, to learn more about real estate and architecture in a new market, and to expand my network in the European region. My mentor has been so supportive of this career move when I doubted myself. So I wanted to thank her for always being in my corner. So thank you so much, Heidi.
Hi everybody, Carolyn Kane here. I recently graduated from Wisconsin-Madison with my MBA in real estate, and I am really looking forward to kickstarting my industrial career as an acquisition analyst at Link Logistics. I just want to thank everyone in the Goldie Initiative, from Goldie, Kelsey, the alumni, scholars, mentors, Suzanne Martinez, and everyone else who has helped me become a better professionally, personally, and just a better leader in general. Thank you all so much, and I'm really excited to move to Chicago so I can meet up with you guys in person and do happy hours and continue to grow our relationships.
Hi, I'm Sandra Kafka, a Goldie Scholar, class 2021. Where do I see myself 5 years from now? Eventually, I would like to start my own real estate technology company. I came to real estate with a technology background. The Goldie initiative has been instrumental in helping me create valuable connections in the industry. Through the Rocket Ship Mentoring Program, I was able to connect with seasoned real estate professionals who helped me see the opportunities and helped me clarify my career direction.
Hi everyone, my name is Christina McInerney and I'm a Senior Assistant Property Manager with Cushman & Wakefield. I just graduated with my MBA from Northeastern Illinois University. What I most look forward to these next 5 years would be being a mom. My husband and I are expecting our first child together in December, so I'm excited about that and looking forward to juggling family life with my career. My plan for the next 5 years would be being a senior property manager and then a portfolio manager, and still staying involved with the Goldie initiative and networking with everyone. I just want to say thank you to the Goldie initiative for everything. It's been a really amazing experience, and congratulations to all the other Goldie scholars.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. This is great. It was great, great, great.
A round of applause for everyone. Congratulations. So,
okay, Karen, it's your turn.
yes, now it's my turn. Kim, will you please wave so everyone can see you?
Hi, everyone.
So Kim is a managing director at JP Morgan Chase. She's been there for 18 years. She's been in the real estate industry for 25. She manages JP Morgan's global core fund, a $40 billion fund. And I asked Kim if she would give a little bit more detail about actually what she does and what a day looks like for her.
Sure. So first of all, thank you everybody for having me today. And I'm teary-eyed from that video, even though I don't know everybody. And what an amazing year, and just so many incredible accomplishments. So I'm thrilled to be here today. Karen asked me to share some thoughts, and I will just disclose that I don't have any answers. I'm here to just give you a sense from being around for a while, my personal journey and the challenges that I've faced. And hopefully you take away one thing that might be useful as you begin your journey after what has been a hugely successful year. So congratulations to that. I am portfolio manager for JP Morgan's open-ended core fund. It is the largest core fund in the United States. And what it ultimately looks like in terms of day-to-day is, just so everybody gets what a core fund even is. It's open-ended, which means clients can come in and out based on their liquidity needs. Core funds tend to meet a certain requirement of public and private pension plan allocations. So at a very basic level, every major retirement plan out there has X amount of dollars focused on equities investments, X amount of dollars focused on fixed income, a certain allocation to real estate. And instead of going out and buying buildings themselves, they make an allocation to a large open-ended fund like JP Morgan's. And we all compete within the space with Morgan Stanley and Prudential and Heitman and CBRE in order to win those dollars. We put those dollars into a big pot, and then we go out and buy assets across the US in the 4 major product types. So office, retail, industrial, and multifamily. And I oversee the decisions of where we buy, where we sell, when we buy, when we sell, how much do we pay, how do we execute, do we want more debt or less debt on the fund, do we want more San Francisco or less San Francisco? And so my job is essentially managing the strategy, managing the balance sheet in terms of liquidity, debt, investor needs, and spending time with clients to make sure that we are always on their minds in terms of solutions for real estate. So that in a nutshell is what I do. And hopefully when we get to the questions, feel free if you're looking for views on kind of where we see the world today, because we're certainly at an inflection point in the industry. I just wanted to share that background and give you a sense so you can prepare your questions accordingly.
So Kim, obviously there was a path to get to this global position that you have now. So I thought it would be helpful for everyone just to hear briefly of the steps you took, and then we'll get into some personal stories that go
My
on.
path was extremely linear. So I started in the mid-90s and as an analyst in the analyst pool at LaSalle Partners, which is now LaSalle Investment Management. And I literally went from analyst to associate to senior associate to VP, up to managing director and at a portfolio management role. I have been in asset management basically the entirety of my career, and at 3 different institutional shops. So I started my career at LaSalle Partners. I spent some time at Prudential, and then ultimately have been at JP Morgan since 2003. So on paper, it's really boring. The exciting piece of it, or the part that I think is most interesting, and we'll get into it a little bit, is through that very linear graph. You know, I've lived through 3 recessions. I've lived through shifts in real estate. You know, malls were the belle of the ball in the GFC. Malls are not the belle of the ball today. Nobody wanted to hang out with the industrial people because they really weren't particularly polished or had like a global view of the world. And now everybody wants friends in the industrial space. The question of 24-hour cities was something that wasn't on our radar 15 years ago as investors in terms of people wanting to live, work, and play in urban areas. So a lot has changed. I have also lived all over the world. So I worked in London and Paris and New York and Chicago. I've worked on all different product types over that time. And so while it has been a path exclusively through asset management, choosing one road does not mean that it will be boring.
So Kim, we talk a lot about, I want to relate to your entree into LaSalle, which on paper looks like it was just a seamless entry. We talk a lot about self-advocating at the Goldie Initiative. We have dedicated a piece of our scholar retreat towards it because we are always advocating for ourselves. Sometimes we're negotiating. There might be a little bit of a difference, but we always have to make sure that people know what we're doing, how we're doing it. So your LaSalle job was not a straight shot. So if you would share with the group how you finally got into LaSalle Partners, which at the time was the most prestigious real estate company, definitely in Chicago and in other parts of the country.
So I shared the story with Karen when we were prepping last week for the discussion. And I think it's a good lesson in, you know, it's a lot easier to advocate for yourself when you're more senior and you have clout. That being said, you really have nothing to lose earlier in your career in terms of advocating for yourself. And LaSalle Partners was the firm to work for when I graduated from Northwestern out of undergrad. And a handful of my friends had already gotten jobs there. And their analyst training program was fun because everybody was young and in the same boat. And I went through, 55 rounds of interviews. And then I was rejected. And I was devastated because I was sure that I was destined to work at LaSalle Investment Management. So I regrouped. I was living at home. And by way of background, my dad was a Greek immigrant. I was the first generation to go to college. I had no connections and really no guidance because my parents just assumed that the public school system would guide me along the way. I went to Northwestern because it was close to home. I grew up in Northbrook. And, you know, I really didn't have a clue and I didn't really know who to call. So that was it. I was rejected. I was volunteering at the church with the youth group and living at home. And my dream job had just been, you know, sort of taken away from me because I was sure it was mine. So, you know, this is the days before email and this is the days before instant responses. And so ultimately I decided to just not take no for an answer. So I begged my dad to enroll me in a class to learn how to do what was Argus back in the day. And I did that. And I got a commercial real estate license. And I took 4 months to get it all done. And then I wrote LaSalle a letter and I told them that they were making a big mistake and that they should reconsider my candidacy. And here's what I've done to change things. And I know that it's hard to relate to this, but imagine putting a letter into the mailbox and just hoping that someone at some point would open it and respond. I mean, it's like completely foreign concept to us at this point. And felt like a giant long shot. So 3 weeks later, I got a FedEx in the mail of an offer letter. Like nobody called me, nobody told me they got my letter. They sent me an offer. And I share this story because it's highly dramatic and I acknowledge that. And, you know, you're going to try and people are going to say no and you're going to try again and they're still going to say no. But you kind of have to try. And so that is kind of, you know, a self-advocating view when you really have nothing to lose. And I think that if you view the world that way, 9 no's and 1 yes still gets you, you know, hopefully where you want to head.
Thanks for sharing that, Kim. You know, none of us are always happy sharing our failures, but we have to.
Oh, I also tacked my rejection letter onto the wall of my cube at LaSalle to remind myself that I just barely made it in and that it motivated me to work super hard because I did feel like I got a second chance and frankly, I wasn't their first choice. And that's, you know, that's not exactly an easy position to be in or to feel when you're starting your first job.
Good for you. Good for you. I have sayings on my kitchen cabinets and one is the Michael Jordan. You know, I've taken 22,000 shots. I've been trusted to win and I've failed over and over because I want my kids to know that, not to be afraid to take a chance. It's okay to fail. So before we leave the advocating question, Kim, how do you make sure others advocate for you? Because you're one lone voice in your firm, depending on how big or small that is, and we all need others to be speaking positively about us. So how did you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really comes down to your approach on advocating for yourself first, and that is authenticity is the key. And being authentic is a combination, in my view, of being confident in what you know and having the humility to be open about what you don't know. Because being anything other than authentic is exhausting. And being authentic also takes the onus off of you and onto somebody else to make a decision. And then they are invested in you. So if you know what you're good at and you explain that in an interview or in a meeting or when you're making a difficult investment decision, and you're humble about what you don't know, they are making a decision based on what you are sharing. And now the outcome is shared. And I think that it's very freeing also. It has to come from a place of confidence and you have to know what you do well. But once you know that, it will give you the confidence to be humble about what you don't know. And so I think that authenticity is a way to advocate for yourself, but also transfer some of the responsibility of advocating to somebody else.
So important to know early. Took me a while. Okay.
Yeah, and I think, it also, when you think about your career decisions in general, that authenticity is also really important. And it doesn't take very much to sort of ferret out who makes decisions based on what looks good on paper versus who makes decisions for themselves. And if you are always making career decisions for personal reasons, you will be more successful, period. It is critical in my view. And that includes following your passion, and that it also includes being upfront about your constraints. I think part of my dream was to live overseas, and I would have done anything to do that. And so after my day job of running models for asset management at LaSalle early in my career, I used to fax cash flows to France, to the Paris office, as sort of trying to help them further their agenda in France with the hope that I could eventually go overseas. And I ultimately went to London with LaSalle, and it was a phenomenal personal experience. And I didn't do it because I wanted to write that I had global experience. I did it because, I grew up in a giant Greek family where everybody was in everybody's business all the time, and I had never been away, and I wanted to be away. And that goes for constraints too. I got married, Karen knows me very well personally, but I got married very late in life. I'm 49 and I have a 3.5-year-old. So I had kids very late, and I need to be close to my support system. I need to be close to my mom. I need to be close to my brother and his kids. And that's Chicago for me. And when opportunities have arisen, I've been clear about my limitations. And I acknowledge that it's easier to do the further you get, but it should be at the root of the decisions that you make, even early in your career. Don't sacrifice what's personally important to you.
That's such good advice, Kim. So let's talk about Mary and Evan. So you've got this job, which is a very, very heavy travel schedule, other than when we're not in a global pandemic. I know you talked about segregating and balancing work and home, and you compartmentalize. So if you could share with the group how that works for you, Kim, and how you arrived at these decisions. Did you do it yourself? Did you get help? Because everyone, lots of folks here have children. If they don't, they've got significant others, and it's always a balance. So how did you get to where you are now, where you feel balanced, which I know isn't every day?
Yeah, I think the answer is it's just hard. And you never feel like you're doing it right. And there are days where you feel like a great mom and a lousy portfolio manager. And there are days where you feel like a great portfolio manager and you've missed an opportunity to be a great mom. So, I think first and foremost, it's about your support network. And as I mentioned, I had immigrant parents, so no one had gone to college. My mom didn't have a career. I didn't really know of women that had the same struggles, and I've found them now later in life. But, that's kind of an important piece of it, is just to have a support network, not necessarily to have the answers, but, to have somebody to just bounce things off of. I think having sort of people and a support network at different levels and at different points in their careers also really important. I have a very special friendship with Karen and Jay. We've been friends for decades, at least a decade, and I've watched them go before me in terms of their kids and now grandkids for Jay and how they balance it. And they don't have the answers either. It's hard, but having a support network is really important. And then the second piece of it is, I think you just have to cut yourself some slack sometimes, which most of the people on this call, I'm guessing, don't do very often, because you're all high achievers and you're all highly, likely highly type A. And it's a hard thing to do. We expect excellence from people around us, and we expect excellence from ourselves. So how you define that excellence is up to you. And, I struggle with it. I don't know. My mom didn't work. She was around all the time for everything. I'm not around all the time. But, I try to be present when I'm with my kids, and my kids know that they are the only thing that is truly, that is the most important thing, hands down. And so I'm rambling because I don't have a good answer to it. I think it is, you find your support system, you acknowledge it's not easy, you acknowledge you're not going to be good at it all the time. And I think you pick periods in your life where certain things are prioritized over others. And you just make that judgment call and you accept it.
Kim, thanks for speaking about that so honestly and plainly, because that is the truth. And I've lived it, Goldie's lived it, so many others on this call have. So I want to make sure we have time for questions. You and I had talked about other things we could talk about, but why don't we open it up? And then I think some of the things you and I wanted to share will come through in some of the questions. So who would like to ask Kim a question first?
How do they do that? Do they raise their hand? How does that work?
They just unmute.
Okay.
I want to unmute.
Kim, do you feel, this is Trish Gordon with JLL, for Goldie Scholar 2015, I believe. Is it possible that using those personal reasons to make decisions, do you think that would hurt us with a manager? Or do you think we should maybe keep the personal reasons to ourselves and just express the need we're asking?
Keep the personal reasons to yourselves and advocate through your career. But the decision is one that is ultimately driven by that personal motivation. I think if I look back, one mistake I made was I made career decisions based on how I thought my life was going to play out. And I actually passed on certain opportunities because I thought by 28 I would be married, and by 30 I would have a child, and I wanted to, quote, make room for all the things that I thought were going to happen in my personal life. And that was a mistake. And when I look back on it, you should be making personal decisions based on the present and what is important to you at that period of time, and not try to plan for what you think it's going to look like, because it will not look like whatever you think it's going to look like. So allow that moral compass and that personal piece of it to drive the decision, but do not share your personal decisions with people at work in terms of how you're thinking about your next step.
So on the flip side of Kim, for those of you that don't have a plan for the next 10 or 20 years like Kim did, I had no plan. I got married at 31. I thought I should be at least 35. I thought I was too young. My husband and I were married for almost 10 years, and he was the one that said, if we want to have kids, we should probably get going. And I said, okay. I was climbing the ladder, right? I was expending all my effort to see how high I could get, how much money I could make, how big my position was, how many people I managed, what my geography was. So I ran the regions for Jones Lang LaSalle, Vornado. And when my first daughter came at age 40, I was 40 when I had my first daughter, almost 43 when I had my second, I requested flex time, which I had never in my life before. I was working for Chris Kennedy at the time at Merchandise Smart Properties at Vornado. And he said yes. So Kim, that was another point that you made that I wanted to touch on so everyone could hear, is that the opportunities then end up morphing around you as you drive for what you want and incorporate your personal desires.
Yeah, I look around this Zoom room and I listen to everybody speaking, and I hear about your accomplishments, and especially being women today. You will always have choices in your career. You will always have opportunities. They will be there. They will be there for you, and they will be there all along the way. So just take comfort in that. And it might not be so obvious every day, but the reality is you're all highly talented. You're all, you're all well educated. You're well on your way. And the industry is changing in terms of the importance of diverse thought. And ultimately, profitability is being driven by innovation. And innovation doesn't happen without different views in the room. And the profile of women is changing in our business. And that is a force. And that opens up opportunities, particularly where you are in your careers today. So, it's flattering to be courted by companies. It's flattering to be wanted, but you will always have choices. So let that personal motivation drive how you evaluate that, and know your value proposition, know what you're offering, because you're all highly valuable to companies, especially today. And don't waste that away. Use that to your advantage and hear what people have to say, but make the right decisions for you, because you will always have choices.
So let's take one more question, and then Kelsey has a few words, and then Goldie with closing remarks. Who else would like to ask Kim a penetrating question?
Adrian?
Yes, thank you so much for this session, and thank you, Kim, for joining us. I really kind of have two questions. The first one is about defining success, and I realize that success varies for each individual. But my question to you is, after you've been so successful, where do you see the next chapter of your career going after you have achieved so much? And then in follow up to that is, what brings you most joy? I can make assumptions just about, your family and kids, but when you, end your day with work and when you're closing your evening, what gives you the most gratitude in your life?
Well, if we put all the personal aside, so I don't sound, because obviously we know that the personal thing is the most important. Winning makes me feel good. I love to win money from clients against competitors head to head. I love knowing that clients trust me and are making decisions based on my word and my, kind of where I see the world is going. So, and most of all, I get excited about when I tell clients I'm going to do something and then we go out and do it, or we tell clients to be patient and wait, and people are going to return to apartment buildings in the city and people will come back to offices. And then you get 2 office leases signed and your occupancy in San Francisco goes up by 1,500 basis points in the first quarter because people are coming back to cities. That makes me feel successful. That makes me feel successful. Doing what I say I'm going to do, being right about where the market is going, and winning. And there was another question in there. Oh, what's next for me? Oh, I don't really know. That's a really hard one. I think getting to a point in my career where I have more time and energy to give back is definitely, I think, a measure of success. And, I'm not there yet. A lot of my outside of work time is really, I'm trying to focus on my kids and my family. So I would say that's probably one thing that I would say would be a success milestone for me. And career-wise, hard to say. I don't really want to be a global investor. I love the US as an investment canvas. I'm not really interested in the other piece, like industrial buildings in Canada are not like something that I, excite me. So, we'll see.
So Kim, I'm sure there are more questions. How much time could you spend after 1 o'clock, do you think, if people want to?
Yeah, I can stick around, sure. I don't want to take the program off the rails here, so I'm happy to stick around. So
thank you. I appreciate it. So Kelsey, I know you had a few things you wanted to say to these special women that you have spent so much time with.
Yes, it feels wrong to not give a few parting thoughts. As many of you know, I work very closely with the Goldie Scholars every day for my job, and it's by far and above the best part of my job is getting to know you all so well. So I have to say congratulations on graduating. You did it. You're done. I hope you feel amazing, and nobody can take that away from you. You have this education now. And you all know that I think the world of you. I just don't want you to ever forget that, because you have so much potential. You have so many strengths. You have a huge, bright future ahead of you, but that comes with big challenges and big questions and big things to tackle. And you're going to make mistakes and you're going to doubt yourself, and that's okay, because all Goldie Scholars go through that. So you're not alone. You have a full support network. I just want you to always think like, what would Kelsey say, which is that you can do it. You can do it. There's no question, there's no doubt in my mind, in our mind, that you can do it. Your mistakes are always smaller than you think they are. And you know that we're always here. We're always here to help. So that's all I want to say, but also thank you is my last thing I want to say, because it could have been a very, very bad year being a virtual scholarship program. I mean, who knew what was going to happen? But I was just blown away by your participation and your energy and your willingness to still do it all, even though we're all on Zoom. So I know I will see you again, hopefully sooner than later, and give you all big in-person hugs instead of just the virtual hugs. But congrats from me. You know, I'm always here.
Thank you, Kelsey. We'll see you all on September 23rd at the hybrid gala, because there is an in-person piece. Okay, Goldie, I know you wanted to give a few thoughts as well.
Well, again, this program has left me speechless in terms of what everyone has said and how they've said it. First, I've got to thank Kim. I loved your comments. I just love them. Now, I would have done something a little differently. I would have not only put my rejection letter on the wall, I would have sent it to every single one I've ever met in my life and show them that I've really persevered, that I'm successful. And I certainly would have sent it via Federal Express to the person who sent you the rejection letter. I would send them your resume, and I would send them all your accomplishments, and I would send them every press release you've ever had on your whatever. And then I would also tell them your salary, that you probably are 5 times much as they are, and how absolutely ridiculous they were in rejecting you. But that's me. But great presentation. I commend you on your honesty, which is always very important. And I think sharing that with us was really very critical. And I want to also thank, and I didn't do it, and I always do, the men that are here. So thank you very much. You all get a round of applause for not just being men, but being supportive of us. And I obviously, Steve Madden has been chairman and for how many years now, is basically my full-time shrink. When I have a problem, I call him. Mark Rose, who's been supportive from the get-go, and all the other wonderful men on the call who are working on our gala, and that's really important. Let me say there's no free lunch, okay? So all you lovely, wonderful, talented graduates, this is not a free lunch for you. So what does that mean? That means we want you to be successful, but we also, we don't want you to forget us. This is really important. I think Kelsey said that, which is really critical. Yes, the gala is September 3rd, but we want you to be mentors in the future. We want you to raise money. Y'all, you're going now to companies, you have to raise money, right, Kelsey? So that the next wave of scholars can be as terrific as you all are. And I think that's really critical. Keep in touch, as Kelsey says, put us on your resume, help us in the schools that you're graduating from, and raise money. Whatever you do, help us raise money. If you're on the gala committee, raise money, send out your letters. We're only as good. And I think the important part, I'm being funny, but not really, when you see these wonderful scholars, the support that you all, this is the board and the gala committee, provide these young scholars is really terrific. You actually see what your dollars and your time are doing. So I really think it's quite impressive. I'm told by Kelsey and Karen that we may have 60 potential scholars to interview. Now, I can remember when we started this 15 years ago, I was worried about who's going to apply. You know, giving money is the easy part, but you all have to sign up, and I appreciate this. You have to send in applications, get resumes, get letters of recommendation, and then that awful personal interview that most of you were scared out of your mind. But again, you were so terrific in this. But we're going to have 60 to interview, so that's just very exciting. And I think this is something that we should all be proud of. You know, at the Innovator Award, basically that was University of Wisconsin. I was also just struck by all the scholars that said something really outstanding. And just like I said then, you know, you all sort of touched my heart in what you said. It really makes this all worthwhile. We now have, we who have been working on this for 15 years and 14 years and 12 years, we have hope for the future. And we have hope for all of you wonderful scholars. I'm sorry it's not in person, but who cares? This is such a great year and 2 years of accomplishment. You should just pat yourself on the back and say, this has been really terrific and we're all proud of you. So next year, in person, promise, in person. So we're very excited. And again, we're proud of you. And if you can stick around, Laura, I know you're there and you're our president, and unless you work so hard. You have anything you want to add?
I would just like to say congratulations to all of you. I remember interviewing some of you. It was, I want to say, one of the highlights of my being part of the board. It was just an amazing experience. So it's good to see you here today. And I really do look forward to the day that I could see you in person again.
And if anything, we walk away from Kim's presentation, because this I learned at ULI when I was on their board. What do you walk away from a presentation? Just remember one thing or two things. It doesn't have to be more. I remember the persistence. If you can walk away from that wonderful presentation, not giving up, not taking no for an answer, and that's really very critical. And that, if you don't learn that in school, you learned it from Kim, you learned it from us. My husband says I've never used the word no, or, you know, just not, it's not in my vocabulary. And the other thing, which is really critical, which I found fascinating, rejection. You know, rejection isn't rejection. You learn from the rejection. You're never rejected. I read a biography of the 10 richest men in the country, in the world. They all went bankrupt once. So did they stop? Of course not. What do? They went and they maybe learned from that experience and did what you did, Kim, which is just took it to a next step. So again, thank you, Karen. Thank you for putting this together. Thank you for Kelsey with all the work you've, there isn't one scholar that I've talked to that doesn't say what a great job you and Martha and the whole team are doing. So unless someone else has something terrific to say, see you next year in person.
And for anyone that wants